Hello, Parsboro, community radio listeners. Welcome to Exploring the Neighborhood with your hosts, Thor and Debbie. Here on CICR 99.1 on your FM dial.
This is our second episode of Exploring the Neighborhood, and we'd like to welcome Kanza as our sponsor for the show. For those of you who are not aware, Kanza is Cumberland County's only careers Nova Scotia center and a vital participant in this area's road to prosperity. This year, Kanza is celebrating 15 years of serving the area and providing valuable employment and educational opportunities. So, why do Debbie and I have faith in Cumberland County and its economic potential? Well, as my dad always hammered into me, it's all about location, location, location. Cumberland and Westmoreland counties sit at the very center of the Maritimes, within a 2-hour drive of most significant maritime population centers, excluding, of course, the Rock and Labrador. The area has an excess of very affordable land and all the required resources, a well-established communication and transport system, plus an amazing and educated talent pool. It's easy access to the larger Canadian and U.S. markets, while shipping routes to Europe and points beyond have existed for centuries. With the internet, the world has become our customer base. For the right type of businesses, ours included, it's an obvious choice. We'll stick to the positive and try to focus on businesses that we feel have the most potential to benefit the residents of this area. The very basics for people anywhere are food, water, and shelter from the elements. Here, water is plentiful and the basic shelter is abundant, often too abundant, and we are going to start with the community's self-reliance, as in your local food supply. Today's interview, we're going to focus on a business dedicated to food self-sufficiency for this area. Hello, and welcome to Exploring the Neighborhood. Let's get started. Who are you, and what do you do?
Broadfork Farm is owned and operated by Brian and I, and we grow certified organic vegetables, cut flowers, and herbs, and we sell them all directly to our customers via the Dyck Farmers Market and restaurants and a few health food stores.
Why did you choose this profession? It's not usually the top of the list of career options at school.
I would say we both have strong feelings towards doing something that's healthy for the environment, healthy for our community, and also healthy for ourselves. And so we decided to farm in a way that we felt would increase healthy soil, contribute to healthy water courses, healthy air in our community, and healthy people that were eating the produce we were growing.
Brian, how the heck did you pick farming as a career choice?
We both feel that we need to make a positive impact on our local community, economically and environmentally.
How did you get started?
I grew up in Kitchener in the suburbs, so farming definitely wasn't on my radar as I was going to school. It wasn't something that teachers or guidance counselors said would be a viable career option for me. It was only later, after going to university for a few years, that I heard about opportunities to intern on farms in our local area, and that's kind of how I got into it.
Shannon, how could you have passed up all those modeling opportunities to instead choose a lifestyle playing in the dirt?
I also grew up in the suburbs. As a child, I felt very passionate about, saving the planet, endangered species. I used to write petitions to the Prime Minister. As I became a teenager, I became a little bit more self-involved, like a lot of teenagers, and I started to care a lot about my personal health. I started researching healthy foods, and then I ended up studying holistic nutrition. From that, the kinds of things that I was learning were healthy for people in general, like regular exercise, fresh produce and other healthy whole foods, breathing clean air, and being surrounded by areas that were less stressful.
I can hear my old dad asking this question. Why did you bother with this farming thing?
I kind of started to come to the conclusion that I wanted to be a farmer, but I had no idea what it meant to be a farmer because I didn't grow up on a farm. And so I ended up finding farms that I could apprentice on. I went from farm to farm and learned wisdom and experience of other farmers. And after 6 years of farming on other people's farms, I started Broadfork Farm with Brian.
How did you two meet? We're on edge.
And we actually met through apprenticing on farms that were nearby to each other.
What happened next?
Well, we knew each other for a year because we were working on farms that were close to each other, and we ended up seeing each other on field trips and like farm field trips. And then after being friends for a year, then we became a couple. And as time progressed, we both had a dream that was similar. And so we decided that we should move to Nova Scotia together and start the farm business that we had always dreamed of.
For those of you who have not had the chance to meet our guests, Brian and Shannon, they are a young, vibrant, politically active, educated, motivated, and a good-looking couple that we could easily picture modeling for LL Bean or Canadian Tire catalogs. That said, they could have chosen to do anything, moved anywhere, and I believe they would have been successful. They chose Cumberland County, and they chose farming.
My name is Brian Dyck from Broadfork Farm, River Hebert, Nova Scotia.
My name is Shannon Jones from Broadfork Farm in River Hebert.
You're listening to Exploring the Neighborhood.
Brian, how did you choose to set up the business from a legal, tax, and accounting perspective?
We set up our farm business as a partnership because we're both deriving our full-time incomes from our farm.
And we both have an equal say in everything that happens. I guess there is the benefit that our net income for our farm would be split evenly between the two of us. And so then there's not one person making a higher income, which would be taxed at a higher rate. However, with a sole proprietorship, you can also work through having your partner be an employee, and you can end up paying them the amount that you might want to reduce the net income of the farm. We didn't do it for specifically tax or legal benefits. I guess it just felt the most natural to us.
What are the legal restrictions and rules that you as farmers need to be aware of?
As a certified organic farm, there are regulations that we need to follow as we choose the seeds that we grow and the inputs that we use to provide fertility to grow those vegetables.
We don't have the same legal implications that a livestock producer might have with their processing. We definitely have some, though. One thing is that food safety is really important to us as farmers. We want to make sure that the food that we're selling and that we're eating ourselves is safe. And as certified organic farmers, one of the requirements is that we make sure that all of the water that we use is potable water for washing our produce, and that we make sure to test that water frequently. But in general, vegetable producers don't tend to have as many regulations as some of the other agriculture industries, especially because we sell direct to our customers. There are regulations for export. There's added regulations for selling to grocery stores. There is a Safe Food for Canadians Act that the CFIA is working on, I guess, officially releasing right now. And we're keeping our eye out on how that goes because we do technically export produce into New Brunswick. So that could affect us.
Did you factor the ever-changing regulations into your plan, or just close your eyes, hold hands, and jump into the abyss?
When we wrote our business plan, we were really mindful of the risk management section of our farm. And one of those risks is policy risks. And so we decided as a way to manage policy risks that we would be aware of what policies might affect us and also ensure that we have a voice in what policies are created. Because of that plan, we've been very active in our provincial Federation of Agriculture, as well as the National Farmers Union. And so Brian is currently the president of our county's Federation of Agriculture. I'm on the youth caucus of the National Farmers Union, as well as sitting on the steering committee of one of the side projects of the National Farmers Union Youth, which is called the National New Farmer Coalition. And so I sit on the Organic Standards Board representing the Atlantic Canadian Organic Regional Network, of which I'm also a board member. So essentially, we try to make sure that we know the policy implications of our business through being active.
Politics, a scary, dark place. What kind of issues does organic farming force you to deal with?
As vegetable producers, the main regulations come from the PMRA, which is the Pest Management Regulatory Agency, that basically approves what things can come into Canada. Because Brian and I are certified organic, we have added regulations which revolve around the types of pesticides, the types of fertilizers must be non-chemical based. However, I would say that the regulations that most strongly influence us are actually our personal values.
Let's talk pesticides. We've heard about the hazards of chemical solutions. What do you guys do and why?
As organic farmers, we're allowed to use certain types of natural pesticides. However, we don't use them. And the reason for that is not only that we think they're not completely necessary, but they also set up that you keep needing to use them. If I use something to kill pests, then nothing that eats those pests would come to our farm. And so then the next year, those pests would come back because that's what they do. And we would just have to spray again. So whether it's a garlic spray or a chili spray, then we still are not creating an ecosystem that allows us to balance out the pest outbreaks. So rather, based on our personal values, we do things like covering our crops with physical barriers, things like netting, and encouraging habitat for the predators or the parasites of these pests. So we do that by planting insectary plants for pollinators, things in a shelter belt, buffers. We leave as much wild space as possible on our farm so that we can attract all of the things that eat the pests. Because essentially pests are not a problem unless they're out of balance.
Who are your business competitors?
It's interesting, especially in the farming community that we're a part of, that even farms that are selling a similar product to us, we don't necessarily view them as competition. When we go to a farmer's market, if we were the only farm vendor there selling the type of product that we're producing, it's not necessarily the fact that we would sell more if we were the only one there. Oftentimes, when you have more people selling a similar product, it will attract more people that are looking for that product. So by working together, you can actually increase sales by working with similar farms.
And we need more farmers. So there's not enough farmers in our area, in our province, in our country.
Are you saying that you like the competition?
Our hope is that more farmers would come into our area. More people from the country would decide that farming is a viable occupation. There's room for everybody. We're a small farm. We can't sell to everybody that wants organic produce. We need other farmers, and they'll help encourage more people to eat local fresh food. I would say maybe our biggest competition would be the grocery stores and Costco. When we drive past there, we see a lot of people in the parking lot that could be buying more local food. And that's the way. Moving more of your dollars from the grocery stores to local farmers will encourage more local farmers to move in here.
So, if we're understanding you correctly, unlike most multinationals and mega businesses, you encourage and benefit from your competition? That sounds like blasphemy. It's as if you're saying that the capitalistic model that we were taught in business school actually works.
Other organic farmers we know in this area and through Atlantic Canada are our friends, and we hang out with them. We have potlucks with them. We talk to them in the winter about the varieties that we like, the varieties that they like. We do bulk ordering with them if we're buying large orders of compost or other kinds of supplies like the netting that we use over our crops.
Now you're starting to act as if your competitors are your friends, not your sworn enemies. What's up with that attitude?
Basically, other organic farmers are essentially our best friends, the people that we hang out with most and who really understand what our life and our lifestyle is like. We couldn't be happy members of our community without them.
For you and your potential customers, how does dealing with the local farmers differ from just picking up your groceries from the supermarkets?
When you're purchasing food from local farmers instead of at the grocery store, you're able to look into their eyes and see the work that they put into producing that food for you and what it means for them to be able to do that, to also see in your eyes what you're getting out of it. And to me, that's the biggest connection and the biggest reason that we're doing what we're doing, is that we can have a positive impact on the lives of the people that we're growing food for.
Basically, as farmers, we're selling ourselves. And so we're selling a set of values that we have, and the physical form of what we're selling is maybe a bunch of carrots or a bouquet of flowers. But what we're actually selling is all of the values that we have, that we're putting into the stuff that we're growing, that we're passing on to our customers. And so if our customers share those values, if that's the kind of world that they are hoping to see in the future, then that's what they want to support. And so our values of health for the earth, health for the soil, health for communities, and health for other people are basically what we're trying to pass on. And our customers seem to have those same values, and we're really grateful for that.
How do your customers end up finding you?
Some people become aware through face-to-face meetings at the farmers market. We're always there every single week, and we're always available to talk and answer questions. But because we live out in the middle of nowhere and people can't always come out and see us, we try and put a lot of our farming lives onto the internet. So we have a website where we write a blog about things that happen on the farm. We try and share as much about ourselves on our website. And then we also share on Facebook and Twitter things that either happen to us on our farm, pictures from our farm, or things that we think in general that people who are following us might be interested in. Our website is www.broadforkfarm.com.
Okay, it's time for Thor's rant. This is a new segment here. Hopefully I won't have too many of these. My mom always insists that rules are rules and they must be obeyed no matter what. I argue with her until I'm blue in the face that some rules just don't make sense. But she stays steadfast in her beliefs until a particular rule doesn't suit her needs. Then my holier-than-thou mom releases her rebellious spirit and blatantly disrespects the very authority she holds so dear. Thus, what I've learned from my 83-year-old mom is that when rules don't make sense, they need to be challenged. The rule I'd like to challenge this week is no chickens allowed in Springhill. When I first heard this, I simply couldn't believe it. Springhill, an economically challenged rural town in the midst of a largely agricultural area, doesn't promote the huge benefits of homegrown chickens. What are you talking about, Thor? They're just chickens. So why do you care? First off, chickens are not just chickens. Almost all the birds you buy at the grocery stores or order in fast food restaurants originate from a handful of mega farms. That's 95% of all chickens purchased. These birds are fed largely corn-based meals, GMOs, and various byproducts. Definitely not the chicken scraps of old, and definitely they're not allowed any free-range feeding. The birds themselves are meat chickens called Cornish cross, which matured for slaughter in as little as 8 to 14 weeks. They do not provide eggs. After 14 weeks, the birds outgrow their structure and quickly develop health problems when their weight can no longer be supported. This is not a bleeding heart babble, but the truth about the most popular meat currently being consumed. Now let's review the characteristics of heritage chickens that are ideal for your backyard. Generally, these are dual-purpose birds, meaning both egg and meat providers. Many breeds have a history going back hundreds of years. They've been bred with natural immune systems and characteristics that support our cold winters and harsh conditions. They survive largely on scraps, compost, insects, and supplements of various grains. The average heritage bird takes almost a full 6 months before they become regular egg layers and another few months before they reach full size. These birds are normally smaller in size and provide less meat than the store-bought birds, but their taste and nutritional value more than compensate. Now let's look at the benefits to each of us having a few hens running around our yards. Besides the obvious health benefits of organic meat and eggs, they are an efficient home garbage disposal unit, a composting tool, a nutrient-rich soil rejuvenation factory, and an insect control system. Chickens are the very key to maintaining your yard's basic ecosystem. They take very little effort and minimal food. They allow even the most financially challenged families to control one important element of their food supply. Chickens are just a wise investment for our community's health. So please, support any local effort to bring chickens back to Springhill. Thank you.
What marketing strategies do you use to attract customers?
Our customers tend to be people like us, so not necessarily the same age as us. We have a broad range of ages, broad range of different family sizes. We actually attempt to market to ourselves because we know that there's lots of people out there who are like us. We like to cook. That's the kind of thing that both Brian and I like to do when we're not farming. We're really into plants. We're really into the health aspects of food. We're really into exciting, unique flavors and colors and produce that we wouldn't necessarily find in the grocery store.
Who are your customers?
Our customers tend to be chefs. So whether they're a chef in a restaurant or a home chef, our customers are definitely really excited to make things in the kitchen. And our customers care about their personal health, and they're interested in learning more about the health of other species as well. They're interested in hearing about the things that we might do to support honeybees or bumblebees or types of solitary bees in general.
How do you keep your products diverse and thus interesting to your regular clientele?
We search far and wide to seek out cool varieties. We order from lots of different seed companies. So we're always looking for things that we think will delight our customers and make them inspired to cook for themselves. We really like things that are colorful.
So do you grow certain types of items for a more global market, as some large producers do? What I meant to say is, would you, as an example, grow a particular type of exotic mushroom and market it to the master chefs in Europe?
We're definitely inspired by food cultures around the world. However, we don't attempt to feed the entire world. I think it's important to feed our community and keep food systems local. In terms of climate change and other economic resilient strategies, keeping food local, I think, is the biggest thing that we can do.
We see that in the larger grocery stores, particularly during the winter months, these items from California, Mexico, Europe, and even the Middle East.
Check out the origin of canned foods. They come from just about anywhere.
My name is Brian Dyck from Broadfork Farm, River Hebert, Nova Scotia.
My name is Shannon Jones from Broadfork Farm in River Hebert.
You're listening to Exploring the Neighborhood.
How did you prepare yourselves to start the farm? And more importantly, where the heck did you get the money?
So I had been working as a field manager on a farm, and Brian had been doing his own CSA on an incubator farm, which is when a farmer gets to try out their own business on another farmer's land. And so from those two jobs, we each saved up $10,000. And that was what we started our farm business with. And so then we went to the Nova Scotia Farm Loan Board, which is, I guess, an offshoot of the Department of Agriculture in Nova Scotia. And based on our extensive experience and our fairly lengthy business plan, they did approve us for our mortgage and also for extra equipment. So we were able to purchase our greenhouse structure and our tractor and some implements with the loan from the Farm Loan Board.
$20,000 savings to start a farm? That is unbelievably low compared to the numbers I've heard in the US and other places of Canada. We were looking for around 5 acres of land in the Niagara region, and the prices started at almost $750,000. And you can forget any buildings or houses on that land. So even with a 10% down payment, that would require savings of at least $75,000 plus legal fees, and that leaves you with only about 5 acres of dirt.
Brian and Shannon, what do you see for yourselves and your farm in the coming years?
We don't anticipate huge changes in our business model over the coming years. We like doing direct-to-consumer sales. We like working with restaurants. One thing that we really focus on is not expanding our production area, but just increasing our production by increasing the fertility of our soils and just increasing our own personal capacity of producing more with the resources that we have already.
What would happen to your business if one of you can't continue?
We set up our business to run with just the two of us. There's a lot of risks inherent with that, because if one of us gets sick or isn't able to work, that's a huge blow to our business. It's a conversation that we often have, whether fitting in employees to our business makes sense in the future. And as it stands, we aren't financially available to offer employment to people.
Any last words to our listeners?
I guess the most important thing that I would like to share is that I think that every one of us has a lot more power to make changes than we might think that we do.
How can our listeners learn more about you?
On our website, there's a number of great resources, including recipes, home storage techniques for vegetables. We have links to our Facebook page, as well as an online sign-up sheet for our Market Food Club. And all that is at www.broadforkfarm.com. You can also send us an email through the website as well.
Once again, go visit broadforkfarm.com or find them at the farmers market in Dieppe.
Thank you very much, Brian and Shannon, for taking the time from your busy schedules to chat with us. Okay, time has run out. When it comes to local business, arts, crafts, and entertainment, we'll try our best to provide a global perspective on our community and remind listeners that where you choose to spend your money is often more powerful than the occasional vote at the ballot box. So help out your talented neighbors and enjoy the unique diversity of what our area has to offer, and ultimately, you'll be helping yourself. Thank you for listening. Thank you, CICR.
So, tune in next week for another episode of Exploring the Neighborhood with your hosts, Thor and Debbie, here on CICR 99.1 on your FM dial.